Welcome to Lookouts and Waterfalls in the Blue Mountains, episode 21, Let Our Videos Be Your Guide. In this episode, we're again in Coulton to visit a number of lookouts around the Three Sisters and Echo Point.
Hello and welcome. We've parked in Cliff Drive and walked a short distance towards Lady Game Lookout, our first location for today that overlooks the Three Sisters. We'll see that shortly. From there, we'll start down the giant stairway to the Three Sisters Lookout and a bridge called Honeymoon Bridge that crosses to the First Sister. From there, it's up the stairs and past Lady Game Lookout to Oreades Lookout. After that, we'll go to Spooner's Lookout, not to be confused with Spooner's Cave that we went to in the last episode. Then we'll walk to Echo Point and explore its lookouts and vantage points. I'll provide GPS coordinates and a map of the walk at the end of this episode. Now here is how we got to the start of the walking track.
We've followed the M4 motorway from Sydney onto the Great Western Highway and will again take the left exit into Coulton, 43 kilometres from the bridge over the Nepean River. As in previous episodes, you'll see this turn several more times in future episodes on the numerous scenic attractions around Coulton. If your vehicle has a trip meter, set it to 0 as you exit the highway. Here is a map of the roads we took. At 120 metres at the roundabout, turn left onto Bathurst Road. Again, proceed straight if you wish to avoid Coulton's main street. At 280 metres, proceed straight across the second roundabout into Gang Street. After 350 metres, turn right into Lurline Street. At 2.1 kilometres, veer slightly left at Burwood Street onto Echo Point Road. At 2.4 kilometres, veer slightly right at Foster Road. Continue along Echo Point Road until you reach the end at 2.6 kilometres on Cliff Drive and find a spot to park. We will turn onto Cliff Drive and proceed to the end where we'll start today's adventure.
That's all for now, so let's find the old walking track to Lady Game Lookout.
You don't have to go our way. Most people walk from Echo Point down to the Three Sisters.
What do we know about this lookout, Jeff?
Lady Game Lookout is a narrow fence lookout very close to the Three Sisters. Starting at the archway next to the Lady Game Lookout, the path continues to the little-known Three Sisters Lookout via a short section of the giant stairway that consists of more than 800 steel and stone steps heading down into Jamison Valley. When the stairway was constructed and officially opened on the 3rd of October 1932, it had 916 steps. Who wants to walk down and count them all? The lookout was first given the name Lady Games Lookout in 1932 when the giant stairway was opened, but today it has not only lost the apostrophe S, the whole sign is missing.
As we have found in various other episodes, much to my disdain, there is an ever-increasing lack of signage at lookouts and sometimes waterfalls. This lack of signage has often led to errors by authors when documenting vantage points and features. This episode is no exception, and as we walk today, we'll observe any signage and hopefully correct many of the misunderstandings, much as we've done in past episodes. See, this is right on the spur, you see. We've got down on both sides. Before I speak on Lady Game Lookout, I must first mention the path we're taking to reach the lookout. It too has no name. This track is likely an early path to Lady Game Lookout before it had a name and prior to the construction of the path from Echo Point to the Three Sisters. This track passes through Darley Park, that's now a part of the Blue Mountains National Park. Darley Park was proclaimed on the 30th of June 1909 after the land was purchased by Sir Frederick Matthew Darley, 1830 to 1910, who was the Chief Justice and Lieutenant Governor of New South Wales. Katoomba Reserve trustees took charge of the land between Echo Point Road and the Three Sisters, while the council wrote to Sir Darley for his approval to name it Darley Park. He replied, "I can assure you I feel very much flattered at the desire of the present trustees of the Katoomba and Lura Reserves to name this lately resumed area Darley Park, and gladly approve of you doing so." More confusion arises as we approach this lookout, as some speculate it was once called Three Sisters Lookout. I have an article published in the Katoomba Daily on the 4th of October 1932 that reads, "The steps begin on the eastern side of Lady Game's Lookout, and a short run of wooden steps leads down to a lookout, where several seats are to be placed. The Three Sisters Lookout is placed in a most unique and picturesque sheltered position, immediately beneath the chin of the most inspiring of the Three Sisters." As you see, Lady Game Lookout and the Three Sisters Lookout are one below the other. Besides, Lady Game Lookout is far too small for seats, but further down there is a space for a seat. Two, in fact. This is the Three Sisters Lookout. No signage, of course. This is the only sign now that says where that trail goes. That was the Prince Henry Cliff walk crossing. At a council meeting in November 1932, Mr. F.C. Taylor, the town clerk, reported that there was likely to be much confusion regarding the names of the lookouts at the entrance to the giant stairway, unless there was an alteration in the name of the lookout that has for some years been known as the Three Sisters Lookout. The clerk continued, "Mr. Phillips has suggested to me, and I think the suggestion is a good one and worthy of the council's consideration, that the lookout now be known as the Three Sisters be renamed Jameson Valley Lookout, and that the lookout recently constructed on the first of the Three Sisters, the one that is reached after crossing the bridge, be known as the Three Sisters Lookout." This question was referred to the Works Committee, but evidently nothing happened, as at one point the lookout or cave on the Sister, beyond the bridge, has a seat that once had the name Echo Point Lookout printed upon it, because Echo Point could be seen from this vantage point. The name, of course, has been long removed. Other names for the cave have been Honeymoon Cave, Honeymoon Lookout, Lover's Retreat, and the Three Sisters Lookout.
From Lady Game Lookout, the eye traverses the full extent of Jameson Valley, originally called Jameson Valley. That was a misspelling, and the upper reaches of historic Burragorang Valley, one of the three major sunken valleys of New South Wales, and on the left is the cliff of King's Tableland and Sublime Point, standing sentinel over Jameson Valley. Immediately in front stands Mount Solitary, buttresses by the ruined castle. To the right is to be seen the stretching promontory known as Narrow Neck and Malatia Point, both in plain view. We'll stop at the Three Sisters Lookout if we find a small platform that overlooks the first of the Three Sisters as described, with a short run of steps leading down to Lookout where several seats have been placed. The whole securely railed and netted in to prevent accidents, where one can sit for hours watching the wonderful ever-changing shadow effects and very often the beautiful and awe-inspiring rolling mist that fill the whole of the valley for miles around. The Three Sisters are made up of three prominent rocky pinnacles, 922, 918 and 906 metres high at the edge of the escarpment east of Echo Point. Abseiling the rock climbing were very popular activities on the Middle Sister until commercial groups were banned by the National Parks and Wildlife Service, when this area was included in the Blue Mountains National Park in 1998.
The point of land that juts out into the Jamison Valley upon which the Three Sisters stand is named Triasaxa Point, and in Latin means something like three rocks. According to John Pay, an avid Blue Mountains walker and YouTuber, Triasaxa means three stones, and is unaware of who or when the name originated. He believes the name most likely appeared on a map and was given by some classical, educated mapmaker. Triasaxa Point was last heard of more than a century ago after the common term Three Sisters easily displaced it. To the residents of Katoomba in those early days, the Three Sisters from a distance had a remarkable resemblance to a cathedral. The buttresses and the three towers, the sisters, were and still are easily distinguishable. According to various Aboriginal legends, these unique rock formations are three sisters named Meenie, Wimla and Gunnidu, who were turned into stone as a result of a tribal conflict. The three ladies lived in the Jamison Valley as members of the Katoomba tribe, the Gandungra, and had fallen in love with three brothers from the neighbouring Nepean tribe, the Darug. Tribal law, however, barred marriage between the tribes, which prompted the brothers to battle for the sisters. To protect the sisters from any harm, an elder turned them into stone, and as the elder didn't survive the battle, and no one else was able to reverse the spell, to this day, the Three Sisters remain trapped in this unique rock formation. And here, my friends, is one of the seats left at the Three Sisters Lookout. And you can sit here and you can see the colours of the cliffs over there. Look at that. In the early days I came down here and sat and watched the sun go down. And of course if you want to go further and go down the giant stairway, well, this is where you go, down there. But this is the original Three Sisters Lookout. Not very big. One of the seats has been removed, and there's still one here. I'll give you a look back at the seat. And there's the one remaining seat.
Next we'll reach a short bridge that leads to the First Sister. It is commonly called Honeymoon Bridge, and one can only speculate that wedding couples have photographs taken there.
Well, that's as far as we go. Unidentified hazard.
When the bridge was first built, the First Sister was known as Queen Victoria, on account of the resemblance to the crowned head of the late beloved Queen. We have found no known names for the other two sisters other than the Aboriginal names just mentioned.
Not that you can see it very well. There's the chin that we mentioned earlier. There you go, look at that view. Amazing. Not quite Honeymoon Bridge, but close enough. Oh well, back up to Oreades Lookout. Original stone steps by the look of it. Certainly not modern. It is a little known fact that the Three Sisters were actually sold in 1888 to Chief Justice Sir Frederick Darley when he purchased land situated at the southern end of Lurline Street to build a summer residence he named Lilienfels. In July of 1908, the Katoomba Council, at the suggestion of Alderman Harry Goyder, we remember him as the proprietor of the Carrington Hotel, asked the government to resume a portion of the cliff frontages, a part of Sir Darley's grounds comprising the Three Sisters, another spot which were formed by Sir Frederick at his own expense. Strangely, 3 months later, Sir Darley sold the Lilienfels estate, which by then had grown to some 55 acres, to Alderman Goyder. We'll talk more of this when we reach Echo Point.
Oreades Lookout is next. It is located on the track to the Three Sisters midway between the archway at the Tourist Information Centre and Lady Game Lookout. While this walking track is officially a part of the Prince Henry Cliff Walk, it is commonly called the Three Sisters Walking Track. It was created in 2015, part of the National Parks and Wildlife Service Echo Point track upgrade.
This lookout was named by Keith Rowland Painter after the Blue Mountains ash, Eucalyptus oreades, growing in the area during his Prince Henry Cliff Walk in October of 1994. If you watched episode 18, you'll remember Mr. Painter also named Lamandra Lookout. He is an author and publisher, writer and researcher of bushwalking guidebooks and local history books. And there's the other two hiding there. From here you can't see the first sister, but you can see the other two.
Yeah.
Ah, there's Jeff. Wave to the people.
Good afternoon. Our next point of interest is located on the small rocky spur between Oreades Lookout and Echo Point, called Spooner's Lookout. Walking access is via a 70-metre long side track off this walk, the Prince Henry Cliff Walk. Yes, the one we have been on since visiting the Gordon Falls Lookout in episode 14.
Like Spooner's Cave, the one I found in our last episode, Spooner's Lookout was named after Eric Spooner, the Minister of Local Government, who officially opened the first section of the Prince Henry Cliff Walk on the 20th of October 1934.
And the kidney?
Someone's rubbed his nose. And that's Prince Henry Cliff Walk, where we crossed earlier, going to Lura. One can never stress the importance of keeping safe in the mountains, and Spooner's Lookout has had more than its share of fatalities, so stay alert. On the 28th of April 1938, and only 4 years after the cliff walk was opened, Alfred William Pender died after he fell over the lookout and landed on a ledge. It is believed he died instantly, but it took searchers 8 days to find him. On the 19th of August 1945, a woman by the name of Muriel Jones had a remarkable escape from death when she fell over a cliff onto a projecting rock 5 metres below near this lookout. While resting with 2 friends, she left where she was sitting and walked to the edge of the cliff, where her companions were horrified to see her disappear. Someone's left their lizard behind. Has he got his mouth open? It looks really weird. Looks like he's dropped his lower jaw.
Yeah.
Okay, we've reached the bypass to Spooner's Lookout. We'll take the lower track. Muriel was admitted to the Blue Mountains District Hospital, suffering from abrasions to the face, head and hands, a wound on her forehead, and a black eye. 3 men rescued Brendan John Jose, 5 years old, from a narrow ledge overlooking a 120-metre drop at Spooner's Lookout. The child wandered away from his parents, who were holidaying at Katoomba. A woman gave the alarm when attracted by screams and saw the boy on the ledge. He was later taken to Katoomba Hospital for observation. To the right is a track back up to the main road, and down here is Spooner's Lookout. Here's another Australian.
That's the red-bellied black.
Spooner's Lookout. Well, you can come here and sit down. And we're very close to Prince of Wales. We can actually get a view of Prince of Wales Lookout from here. There it is right there. And if you move this tree, or just move the tree out of the way, we can do that. There's Queen Elizabeth projecting platform, which we will be visiting shortly. Now back to what the view from Spooner's Lookout is. We shall come to the edge and fall off. No, we won't. We get another view here of the second and third sister, which we saw from Oreades. In the afternoon sun, we timed it perfectly, Jeff. There it is in all its glory, and of course in the background is Mount Solitary, of course. So there we have two of the sisters.
Our final destination for today is Echo Point, the most widely known tourist attraction in the Blue Mountains. Although Echo Point is one large area, it boasts two named lookouts, Queen Elizabeth Lookout and the Prince of Wales Lookout. We will visit them all, starting with the Prince of Wales Lookout.
Now this little indicator here tells us we're going to take a shortcut back onto the Prince Henry Cliff Walk, because otherwise we're just going to retrace our steps. Now there used to be a path to the Prince of Wales here.
Yeah.
But as you can see,
Oh yes.
that was the original path around, but it's been closed for over 10 years.
Hmm.
And they changed it all. So now you don't have to worry.
Closed for repairs? Get real.
They didn't change the sign, did they? This very informative sign says exactly that. Nothing. But there is a sign here. And it says, can't read it because it's so bright. Three Sisters forward, keep going valley walking tracks and scenic world valley stations via the giant stairway. That's a bit of a stretch. Lura via the Prince Henry Cliff Walk is more like doable. And Spooner's Lookout. Oh look, a bird that never tells the truth. It's a bit of a fibber, this bird. Got long tail feathers. Let's continue.
Yep. The central raised lookout area above Queen Elizabeth Lookout, created by the latest upgrade, is virtually a lookout as well, so we'll call that Echo Point Lookout.
Following on from our discussion on Sir Frederick Darley, Lillian Fells and the Three Sisters, I'll tell you how a small lookout near Echo Point got the name Prince of Wales Lookout. Earlier, I mentioned that Katoomba Council wrote to Sir Darley in 1908, requesting to name Darley Park and thanking him for allowing the public access to the Three Sisters and Echo Point while he owned the property. In his acceptance letter, he also wrote, "There is one lookout there close to Echo Point, which the Princess of Wales visited when at Lilienfels, the scenery from which I know she much admired. If the trustees have no objection, I would like them to give the name the spot the Princess of Wales Lookout, for those who would like to sit."
But it's called Prince of Wales Lookout, I hear you say. In the Sydney Morning Herald on the 5th of December 1911, 3 years later, an advertisement appeared that read, "Houses and land for sale. Just across the road is the loveliest park in Katoomba. It's the Princess of Wales Lookout, where Her Gracious Majesty stood and admired the glorious scenery."
So how did the name get changed? Simple. In May of 1932, that's 21 years later, at a Katoomba council meeting, Alderman W.C. Sopper, who was the deputy mayor and a man who spent considerable time investigating the need of the municipality, particularly in the direction of signs, moved that a sign be fixed to the lookout to read Prince of Wales Lookout. As a side note for all you historians out there, neither the Prince or the Princess of Wales visited Katoomba, or Australia for that matter. In 1901, Albert Edward, Prince of Wales, and his wife Alexandria were planning an empire tour. However, the death of Queen Victoria on the 22nd of January 1901 meant that the couple had to prepare for a coronation in 1902. Consequently, Edward's son Prince George, Duke of Cornwall and York, and Mary were assigned to undertake the voyage instead. Here is an illustration of how the lookout appears today.
From the Prince of Wales Lookout, it is a very short walk along the elevated boardwalk to Queen Elizabeth Lookout, originally known as Projecting Platform. Here is a photograph from 1935 showing the projecting platform that, with all its past upgrades, is still accessible today, although vastly upgraded of course.
For the first time in history, a reigning British sovereign, Queen Elizabeth II, visited Australia, although her father, George VI, and her grandfather, George V, each accompanied by his consort, did so in earlier years. It was before their ascension to the throne. Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh arrived in Sydney on the 3rd of February 1954 from New Zealand, and on the 12th of February visited Bathurst and returning to Sydney via Lithgow and Katoomba. With only a short 40-minute stopover at Katoomba, the Royals were driven on a short tour of Blue Mountain scenery by car to Echo Point, where a brief 9-minute civic reception was held. The Queen must have been so impressed with the view from the projecting platform when she walked down to obtain a better view of the valley at Echo Point that it was decided to approach palace authorities requesting that the lower lookout be named Queen Elizabeth Lookout.
Echo Point has undergone many improvements since its discovery. Here's a photograph taken in 1907. It shows a small fenced flat rock on Echo Point in the background with two newly imported Italia models 34 and 45 horsepower motor cars, with others in convoy, carrying unknown dignitaries leaving Echo Point via Echo Point Road. The occasion in the late afternoon light is unknown.
You might also notice the farm fence on the left of the road in this photograph. It aroused one of Katoomba Progress Association's member, Mr. Scope, to raise the matter of the alteration of reserve cliff frontages. In September 1903, he stated that many of the frontages had been sold, and at Echo Point the best portion of the frontage had been turned into a cow yard. he moved that the minister be requested to withdraw from sale all unsold cliff frontages. The request was approved and sent, but nothing actually happened. Calls for the retention of cliff frontages were first made in 1893, and after 1903, in 1908, as mentioned earlier, Katoomba Council requested that the government be asked to resume portion of the cliff frontages, part of Sir Frederick Darley's grounds, comprising the Three Sisters and other spots, which were formed by Sir Darley at his own expense. Yet again, nothing happened. As already mentioned, Alderman Goyder subdivided Lillianfell's estate, and public access to the Three Sisters and Echo Point were assured. This is another photograph taken in 1925 after considerable alterations.
The last and rather significant upgrade of Echo Point started in 2019, and after almost 12 months of construction, the new development at Echo Point was completed and opened to the community in October 2020 and officially opened on the 14th of November. The upgrade included the new amphitheatre called the Gathering Place, a new Prince of Wales Lookout that had been closed for over 10 years, and a night-lit boardwalk connecting the lookout and amphitheatre. The Gathering Place is known as Dain Ding Gang, representing the Aboriginal Gungungara people, and Dain Barry, representing the Darug people. The most impressive feature of the Gathering Place is its stylised map of country, which is etched into the concrete floor of the stage area and represents the significant waterways within these people's country in the Blue Mountains.
We visited 6 places today: Lady Game Lookout, Three Sisters Lookout. We couldn't go to the Honeymoon Bridge, it was closed. We then went to Oreades Lookout, Spooner's Lookout, and Echo Point, with views from the Prince of Wales Lookout, Queen Elizabeth Lookout, and on top of Echo Point itself. You don't have to do this all in one day. Take your time and enjoy the outdoors, the fresh air, the sunshine, the wonderful vistas. But stay safe by visiting our safety instructions at the end of this episode.
On our next episode, we're back to Katoomba to visit lookouts overlooking the Jamison Valley between Echo Point and Katoomba Falls Reserve. Till then, bye!
See ya. Whatever way you discover the Blue Mountains, we want you to have a safe and enjoyable experience. Whether you drive, catch public transport, or cycle to the destinations we visit here, some walking is necessary. The walks are usually short, but can contrast greatly, so you need to be aware of the risks. Have a safe and enjoyable sightseeing experience at these lookouts and waterfalls. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to be alerted when next we visit the Blue Mountains.